I will welcome everybody. This is a very official start. Over the last 2 years, just over 2 years now, I moved to Australia and created, and effectively, I think it's 26 months, an international speaking business. Now, it is worth noting that before that, for a couple of decades, I had been in front of the camera, in front and behind the camera, and been in that speaking area where it was my area, it became my area of authority. But we all have an area authority or expertise. And speaking from stage, presenting has never become such a viable way to promote our brand and our business. It's an incredible way to create leverage. Obviously, the better we are at doing it, the actual art of it, the more results we'll get from stage and when presenting. But today I actually want to show you, literally outlay for you, how I built an international speaking business from scratch and leveraged what it is that I do, which just happens to be speaking. I've mapped this out, and also what I've included here is just made a couple of tweaks to something that I already had, which was a timeline, to add what I've learned from also now coming into the US market as well. The US market and the UK market have been quite different. They're offering their own unique challenges, and so this has helped me grow and further my business and develop character as well. So I'm going to share this over here. Okay, this should pop up. Here we go. The first thing I wanted to show you, which I think is incredibly useful, is a timeline. So I'm going to run you through this timeline and how this, I've put this into sequential order, obviously, but this is how I go about things. This has been tweaked as of yesterday. Before it was a little bit different. Now adding America into the equation, things have changed a little bit. And plus I've ironed out some flaws in the matrix and how I can make things a lot easier on myself. This is a constant, perpetual learning process. Okay. First of all, people always want to know, how do I choose my city? They seem to want to know, is this where your avatar is? This isn't actually how I go about my business. I choose the city based on it being where I would like to go. I know, crazy. I design my business around how I want to live. Clinton, I know we've discussed this briefly, but my business is built around my lifestyle, how I want to live my life. Okay? Effectively, you'll notice my touring is always coincides with winter in Australia is when I get out of here. Not so much this time, heading over to the UK soon, but effectively I'm going to the cities where I want to go. Then the next part, now that I know where I want to go, number 2 is filling my network. How do I reach out and find the people in that city that I've chosen? So I'm going to use London and New York just as examples here. Just going to mute you there, John. Okay. The first thing that I'm doing is I need to bring people into my network. I don't know. When I started in London last year, I knew nobody. This was the running joke. Whenever I was doing my journey and doing my lives, is I was telling people, I didn't know anybody there. Same thing with New York. I didn't know anybody in there. This time with London, I'm super close to selling it out. And this is less than a year down the track. Okay. So my CRM is, how do I get people into my leads bucket from New York or from London? So for example, this webinar, I could then create into a lead magnet. I could create a lead magnet from this webinar. I would be able to use Facebook advertising to target people in New York who were speakers, coaches, or thought leaders, and people downloading in that New York area and London area will go into my leads bucket, where I can now educate them via my emails. Does that make sense? I don't make sense. The other thing I'm doing is going into London groups or New York groups, and in the days that I can, I will do a post such as, I'm looking for 5 speakers who would like to build an international speaking business within the next 6 months. Please comment below world class. Now, anyone who comments below world class, whereas if you look at my group, I think about 45 people commented a couple of weeks ago. I then go, hey Rose, thank you very much for commenting on my post, world class. What's your preferred email? And I'll get this training out to you. Or let's have a chat. So effectively now I'm getting these, it's just another way of building my leads bucket and building my network of the right people. Does that make sense? I'm asking, do you want to build an international speaking business? Yes, I'm speaking to speakers now. And are you a coach or thought leader or a speaker? Because these are the people that I want to work with, or my avatar. I'm going into groups, I'm going in via other speakers' Facebook pages, and I'm finding my network in those areas. I'm building my network. This takes time. London happened very quickly. New York has been far more of a challenge. This is great, because these challenges are what make us. These challenges are what helps grow our business. So I'm filling my network up. If we look at the funnel, the top of the funnel is your tools. How do we get people from that top part? What are the tools that I'm using to bring people into my middle of funnel, where my job is now is just to educate them on what it is that I do. That education is, of course, this is what I do. This is who I help. This is the problem that I solve. And I'm consistently doing that every single day to the people in that middle of funnel, helping them understand this is who I work with, this is the problem that I solve, and this is what I do. I'm positioning myself as an expert. I already know that my network is now filling up with the right people, because I'm bringing the right people into my network. Now I'm educating them. So this number 2 here is, after I've chosen the city, is now filling my network up with the right people from that area. Expert posts, doing lives. Now here, adding value. This is really important. And this has been a massive learning for me, not to say it's right or wrong, but this is a massive learning for me, the difference between UK and difference between America. This is just my learning. Is that the adding value is that in the American groups, it's far louder. There's more shouting. And I understand it's more competitive. It's a big country. So my learning here is that I needed to stay in my own lane. I got kind of sucked in for a few weeks of getting into the shouting and feeling a little bit not knowing how to handle this new way of expressing or articulating myself. I've now gone back to just being more careful in what it is that I'm saying, because Aliki, you're a perfect example. Rose, perfect example. You are my people. You are literally the people that I want to work with. Clinton, it's not shouty. I just have to stay in my own lane and keep doing what it is that I do. It's just taking a little bit longer. That's all. UK, people have picked up on that authenticity, that I believe I'm a genuine person. They've picked up on that very fast. America is just bigger, and it's like UK on steroids, to be fair. But this is my learning, and a really, really nice learning for my business and personal. Can you just check that we're all muted? Adding value. So constantly here is, you're not telling people that you're about to do an event. You don't mention this yet. All we're doing right here is educating, and adding value, adding value. I never mention, this can be up to 2-3 months of just gently reminding people this is what I do. And you're creating a following, because as you build this network, the people that are into what it is that you do, when you're coming from your unique perspective of the way that you see things and do things and say things, you'll create that following, especially if you are about something greater. And then here is a key one, absolute key one. Rose, you're a fine example of this, is building relationships. Constantly building relationships. When you meet influential people, reaching out to administrators of groups, reaching out to influential people in those areas and building those relationships. Again, this isn't, hey, Clinton, how you doing? Hope you've had a great week. Hey, do you want to come? I see you're near New York. Do you want to come to my event? We all get these messages, right? I mean, it sounds crazy, but we actually all get these. Hey, do you want to be a part of my group? No, I don't know anything about you yet. I don't even know if you're good at what you do. It's building those solid relationships. Once I've built those relationships, or I see that I solve the problem that they have, then I'll invite them into somewhere like my Facebook group. If they're a key person, I'm always building that relationship around value first. Always around value. I'm never asking them for anything. I always want to see where I can add value. With that, they will either start to check up on my Facebook page or my business page. They want to know more about me. And of course, I'm going to be speaking about presenting. I speak about and love presenting so much. They're going to know that's what I do. And it's going to come into conversation. It's going to go, Clinton, yeah, I'm actually really excited. I am coming in New York. It's my first time in the USA running my first event. Oh, what's your event, Andrew? This happens after we've nurtured that relationship and you've built a bond that you trust each other. You go, Clinton, man, do you know what? I'd actually love you to come along. Or now that we've got to know each other, would you be interested in speaking at my event? By speaking at my event, do you think you could get 5 people to come along? It's about building that relationship so you can actually have these honest conversations of how you can help each other. Because this is what business is, right? Leveraging off each other. How can I help you get more leads, more clients, and build your network? Rose, how can I help you? Rose, you've been an absolute gem in the way that you share and introduce me to people. You know, and you create a lot of time for these people. So building relationships in those places has been probably my number one. And then constantly adding value and then positioning myself as an expert. Moving on, I set a date. I set a date out for international. London, 3 months. New York, I can see they're late buyers, but it's happening. Like it's actually it is happening. So this is my learning. Just each different country or every city has a different way of going about things. London was very easy. New York's been a new challenge. So I think you should always start, when you choose a city and start adding your value and bringing people into your network, this needs to be a good 6 months out. Building that network and those relationships, that takes time. The more time, the less stress that you feel. We don't want to add to our stress. Remember that the challenge that we create, that higher that learning curve, the more character that you build and the more of a journey that you go on. So when you set that date, don't stress yourself out with making it too close, but give yourself enough time and space to go through the learning process and be able to correct things that aren't working for you and ask questions to people who have done this that can help you speed the process up and make it smoother. What don't you know that you don't know? Probably my least favorite activity is finding a venue. Find a venue that suits what it is that you do. I don't believe that you need, if you're going, if it's your first event somewhere, it needs to have all the bells and whistles, but it does need to suit who you are and what it is that you're doing. But don't put yourself so out of pocket that it creates stress again. But this is my least favorite one. If you can hand this off, I know in UK, I've now got someone who finds my venues for me. It makes my life so much easier. All right, the setup. Now that we have our venue, we want to create a slick landing page on our website, somewhere to drive people to. And of course, this is the link that we share for people, right? The reason I share the landing page more than my Facebook event is that if I send them to my Facebook event, they're only going to see the copy that I have in the event. When I send them to my landing page to register or buy a ticket, they can actually go in and stalk my whole page, my whole website, and see what I'm really about and what else that I've got going on. When people start to see that I run retreats, Portugal, Bali, when they start to see my higher ticket items and I know what I'm talking about, they feel safer and that they're buying into certainty with me. If they come and work with me, I will take them from where they are and they're presenting from here and further down the line towards world class. That's what they're buying, certainty. Same with everybody. So that landing page creates more certainty, but I do need a Facebook event so I can invite people to the event. I create a banner. So my events, as you'll see on my personal page, my group page, and my biz page, my banner advertises what it is that I do and my tour. And the payment methods. What payment method? I mean, this is admin stuff, but it's still part of it. It's still part of that process. Make sure that that's easy. That you don't want there to be 2 or 3 hoops to jump through to make them pay. It has to be super easy. It's Melissa and myself learning as well. How do we make that nice and slick and easy? The fun part. Now, this goes back to fielding the CRM or fielding that middle of funnel with the right people. This has been a big learning for me. Not just everybody, but the right people, knowing who that is. So then I can start to build excitement. I'm doing a lot of podcasts at the moment, but I ask now, who does your podcast go out to? Who's going to be listening? Are they my people? In 2017, I was doing every podcast and web event that came my way. And it worked for a little while. But now I don't have the time to do that. And I'm getting savvier about who am I speaking to. If I give this person an hour of my time, are they going to be able to, am I going out to my avatar here? Interviews, same thing. Is the person hosting this interview with me or this interview with me, are their audience my avatar? Or is this just an hour of my time that I literally don't have to spend anymore? These are really good questions to ask yourself. So basic, but makes so much more sense. In 2017, when I was really getting into the business side of things, I was again doing everything that came my way. Running web events, a la what we're doing right now. Running web events. Who am I speaking to? I'm speaking to people who are interested in building an international speaking business. That's my avatar. International speaking business, doing the web events, and now using this web event or the web events as lead magnets, or being able to put posts on my personal page, on my group, in my business page, in other people's groups. Who would like to know how to build an international speaking business? Please comment below speaking business. And anyone who does, I ask for their emails and we'll send them out a copy of this webinar. The thing is, the more webinars that you do too, that this one here specifically is, I've changed the timeline, I've changed many of the slides, but effectively it's the basis of a webinar that I used last year. So you're not always having to create new content. You're able to repurpose stuff, but because we've grown and learned new things, plus we're filling up our network now with new people, we're able to repurpose stuff. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. But there's more value to it now because I'm another probably 8 months down the track. And so I've learned a whole lot of new things, a lot of new information, which is, of course, my value. Consistency. This is huge. The consistency of message going out every single day. Every single day. Lives. I break my social media down into 4 sections. One is the CRM day. It's the day where I'm collecting people's data, their email. That'll be through that's basically through my lead magnets or the questions. I'm looking for 5 people who want to build an international speaking business within the next 6 to 12 months. Please comment below, international speaking business. Great. Linda, Georgie, John, Rose, what's your preferred email? And I'll get this sent out to you immediately. So 2 times a week on all different platforms, your LinkedIn, your Instagram, if people are comfortable with their personal, their group, and their business page, I'm asking that question and collecting data, plus my lead magnets that are going through Facebook advertising, which is also on Instagram. Consistency. The second one is I do expert posts. So I'm just doing the expert posts. So I've got the CRM gathering post, I've got the expert posts, and then I've simply got the engagement post, which is asking a question. If you were given an opportunity to speak in another country tomorrow, would you have your keynote talk ready? What would be the topic? That's an engagement post. And of course, everybody engages in that, which gives me an opportunity to look at the people that I'd like to build a relationship with and go, hey, Rose, thanks for commenting on my post, and then start that conversation with Rose to a point where I'm asking Rose, how's business? Can I help? Because Rose has actually already asked, she's put her hand up and said, to answer my question, would you like to build an international speaking business? Does that make sense? I've asked a question, an interactive post, and Rose has put her hand up. So she's indicating that she actually wants that. So it gives me a chance now to start that conversation with somebody. And the last one is actually just a personal post. And this morning you'll see that someone's using my identity as their for their Facebook. They're using my photos and stuff, and that was kind of funny. I took a screenshot of it and put that on social media this morning. And again, really, really nice interaction. And of course, with Facebook, that algorithm is now, those people have come back into my line of sight. And if I wanted, I could now start off a conversation with the people in that, from that, who I haven't spoken to in a long time. I see there's a couple of comments. I can't look at those at the moment. Sorry, otherwise I have to get out of here. I will come back to them. It's funny, people go, you'd have already your content sorted. No, content for me comes last. So when I'm creating my Facebook event, I give a backbone of what it is that I'm going to do. I actually change the copy in that consistently as I change. I change the copy and go a little bit deeper and more specific as I get to this point of now knowing what am I really going to cover and cover well within this. Most people this is what stops most people from doing events, is they get stuck on everything needs to be sorted now, here. When I choose my city, I have no idea what I'm going to talk on, except for it's loosely about presenting. All the way through here until I get to here, I'm really starting to get on point. Now I'm creating the content. What's the experience that I want to create? What is the feeling that I want to create within this workshop or this event or this retreat? What's the journey that we're going to go on? Of course, then we have the event pop up. And then after that, keep nurturing those relationships. This is important. I spent a bit of time on this timeline, but this timeline, I think, is the one thing that people really get stuck on. What does that look like? Okay, Now let's go through this. Scaling. Let's change these photos. Going from local to national to international. Your scaling will depend on the quality, of course, of your speaking. If you're doing local meetup groups, it's highly unlikely someone's going to go, hey, can you fly to London and be a part of my 3-day speaking summit that people are paying $5,000 or $3,000 for? Because what they're buying up here at this level is certainty that when you get on stage, you're going to add that value and engage. No one wants to hire someone and get them overseas and then discover on stage that they were an absolute flop. This is here you're earning your wings, really. But the scaling part is put on your local workshop and get that to a point where you know what you're doing. You're feeling confident. The confidence is a byproduct of knowing what it is that you do. Understanding your art a little bit better when it comes to speaking. Inside out. It's not just a little bit better. Knowing your art inside out and your content inside out. Knowing what the experience is. Now scale it. So if you're in America, it's now from going from West Coast to East Coast, or from, I'm going to do San Diego, LA, New York. For me, it was just going on tour a few times. Like I was touring about 3 or 4 times in a year in Australia in 2017 and early 2018. Then I went international, and I started off in Asia and then going to UK. Now, very, very quickly, in less than 1 year's time, I've gone from not small numbers, but enough for me to feel very confident that I would get people in UK again, to now getting to really, I'm not doing many marketing with UK. It's selling itself. Because remember, I've filled my network now with a lot of people from the UK. So you see how I've been nurturing those people in the UK, building those relationships and educating them for nearly a year's time. Now they're ready to come and sit with me for a whole day or 2 days. So create date with a healthy lead-in time. Don't stress yourself out. Develop relationships in that area. We know how to do that. Develop the relationships locally, nationally, and then target your area specifically you want to build your relationships within internationally. Create those expert posts, the value and consistency of message. Don't go down rabbit holes. Stay on the core of your message. Who do you work with? What's the problem that you solve? And what you do and how you do it. Lead magnets assigned to those areas. Build that database, build the relationships, and build that network. These are some things that I've learned. My systems constantly have to adapt. As you create more leads, as you create a bigger business, as you get more clients, your systems are constantly adapting. People get stuck on this. What is my system? Your system is just whatever you start with, to be fair. And then you adapt. I was just doing workshops before. This is also your business model. I began with just workshops, 1-day workshops. I then went from workshops to a program, to an 8-week program, 10-week program actually. I then scaled that down to 8 weeks. I then went from the 8 weeks to a now 1-year program, and then added on because I had been building my network and nurturing these people. They were now trusting me. They were ready to buy a bigger ticket item off me. So they were prepared now to fly from anywhere over the world, and they do fly from anywhere over the world, to come and spend 4 or 5 days with me in a retreat. For example, Portugal in June and Bali into May. They're willing now they're buying certainty. They feel like they can trust me. They've been watching me long enough. Skills constantly improving. I just did a 2-day workshop in Melbourne. I had the day off Monday, and then Tuesday for me was around what can I do better? What can I do better? When did I need to back off? When did I need to step up? When did I need to create better boundaries? What can I do better next time? I constantly do that. And not in a beating myself up way, by the way, in a way of, I just want to get better. I want to keep improving, constantly inching into that world class. This is something else I've noticed. My character, my personality needs to perpetually change all the time. Your challenges create new character. This is a question I ask. In 1 year's time from today, when I'm already in my greatness, how would I react or act to the situation? That's how I constantly change my personality, who I fundamentally am. I'm not looking at myself now and how I make decisions based on who I am now or yesterday, because I'm going to get the same experiences tomorrow. I want new experiences tomorrow and in the future. And the challenges creates the character. Greats become great because they rise above their circumstances. So if we don't get those circumstances and those challenges, we actually don't get the opportunity to become great at what it is that we do. When we really relish that, our challenges then become something that we know we're going to pop out the other side as a better person. Not always easy to accept, but you can reframe it so it becomes more exciting, and you can actually dig in. The artistry. If you want to have an international speaking business, you need to be very good at what it is that you do, but don't beat yourself up. When you're playing at that local level, just focus on the next level, which is national. When you're playing nationally, just focus on getting to a point where I can now play internationally. Internationally, if you think about it, is world class. That's the definition of world class, being able to go and speak internationally. So you ask yourself, where is the gap between where I am now and what is world class? What is world class? What are the aspects? What are the characteristics of a world class speaker and their world class business and their world class character or personality? What are the gaps that I need to fill? I can't go into that much deeper into here. This isn't the webinar, but that's a question you have to ask. What is the difference? What's the gap between where I am now and what is world class? Because when you fill that gap, the other things start to happen as a byproduct. You start to take luck out of the equation. So pinpoint the areas that need growth and take action or ask advice. Like I constantly have 2 or 3 mentors at a time. It's kind of greedy, but I want to accelerate my game. And to have an audience trust you, first you must trust yourself. This is creating that bone deep sense of belief in what it is that you do. This is when people will fly from all over the world and trust that they are giving you money because you're going to accelerate their growth. This takes time, not just for them to trust you, but for you to trust yourself. It's all an amazing journey. Everything is in the journey. And secondly, when we get to that international level, what is the world-class experience that I'm going to create? What is the journey I'm going to take them on today in this? If you're doing your own workshop, you've got probably 8 or 9 hours or 6 hours. If London, I'm speaking next Saturday, is how can I make that 40 minutes a world-class experience? So that those people who have spent 40 minutes watching me and other speakers that day, how will I stand out by literally just creating a world-class experience? I don't need to push. I don't need to perform. I don't need to do anything other than just me. I just need to constantly deliver at that level of which is world-class. The byproduct of that is people will want to follow me and step into my space. I don't even need to sell when you're doing that. Okay. I had a bit of an international speaking business, so become a world-class communicator, create the unique experience, learn how to monetize your opportunities. So when you're doing workshops, what are you selling into next? What does your business model look like? What does your business model look like? And what are you charging? Because of the way that I teach, I'll give you this insight. Because of the way that I teach, I make my workshops and coaching financially are viable for people, because the way that I do things is very unique, and the best marketing for me is word of mouth. So people need to see me to believe and see what it is that I do, and they go and tell other people and recommend other people. So I make my entry point and the middle of my funnel very accessible for people. Know what your value is on stage. Absolutely know what your value is. Understand how to tell a story and keep ring fit. This is why I put on last minute workshops often. I'll do a 2-hour session or a 3-hour session just to keep me ready and to practice new content. Something as an actor I learned was, if I hadn't had an audition in 2 or 3 months, which is freaking normal, I would never get that audition. I would never land the role. Very highly unlikely I'd land the role because I was out of practice. But when I was in the zone and working, and I was on set and leaving set and going to an audition, or I was in that space, I would go in and I would literally be walking into the audition room and going, this is my job. Why are these other people here? Because that's the confidence you build. You're ring fit. You're on. Okay. Let's need to move this here. That's better. Creating the buzz, the lead magnets, the Facebook advertising, the referral marketing, getting a list of people. I have a list in front of me of 10 people that I consider my referral marketers, the ones who I approach and nurture relationships with every week. And I ask, are you able to, what have you got coming up? Can I share something with my network? And in return, they'll share something into their network. This is free marketing. The key to this is that their network needs to be similar to mine. Their network needs to be the same as my network. Okay? That building the buzz, middle of funnel activity. Can someone turn their mic off? Or mute themselves? I don't know who that is. Build your network. Build your network, build your network. We've been there. I need to reiterate this all the way through. Build your network. Build that middle of funnel activity. Educate them. Do your podcasts, web interviews, do your web events, tour and be seen. This was massive for me. Tour and be seen. Man, it was hard work. It was tiring, but I was having a shitload of fun, to be fair. I was having a heap of fun. I was touring and being seen, and I was getting to meet people all around Australia and New Zealand. It was a lot of fun. And position yourself as an authority. If you know what it is that you do and you trust what it is that you do, position yourself as that authority. I'm the expert in that field, and you are the expert in that field, because only you see things from your unique perspective. And if you're able to articulate that, that makes you an expert in your field. So touring, strategic relationships, build that bigger vision, share clearly, consistency and clarity, and building your network. You'll see building your network keeps popping up. The business, your business model. Again, I have my 1 and 2 day workshops now as introduction. Sorry, my 2 days now is more of a mini retreat. My 1 day is an introduction. I have my International Presenters Tribe, which is my ongoing training every week. And then after that, I have my retreats. And then I take on 5 one-on-one clients at a time. And at the moment, I've cut that right down because I'm busy. It's financially, it would be nice, but right now I want to focus on doing the job that I've got in hand well. And so that extra time is gold for me. Make sure that client pathway and offer is clear. These are all constant work-ons. Monetizing your opportunity. Starting those conversations, having those conversations with people who come to your entry level. Outsource ASAP. This is super important. If on a Monday now, and haven't been great on this the last 2 Mondays, but creating new content. What are my expert posts for this week? And then that gets shared out continuously all through groups throughout the world. Constantly going out through groups into my group. Of course, actually the entry level too of something that I do is my free stuff is my Facebook group challenge. I get to see people in there who I actually want to work with. I watch their videos and I go, do you know what, Rose, I'm loving your videos. Let's have a chat. The business, create a signature experience. This is just something that I find, what is the experience on stage that you can create? I know Georgie, Laura, we went over this. Lauren, we went over this in the weekend. But what is that signature experience that you can create on stage that nobody else has? What is that signature experience? Mine is my Amplify Your Moment, the expansion exercise, 9-minute track where I guide them through their greatness. It could be lining people up and making them stare into each other's eyes for three minutes until it gets really uncomfortable. And, you know, these just, what is that little experience that will shift a room and create a different feeling so they will remember you? Even making your stories nice and human. I was talking about this with someone today who's very into tech. It's how can you make your tech stories more human? And referral offers. Again, I have a link now with America and the UK, of which I send to other speakers, or I send to people who I consider VIP, and they can offer it to their friends at half the price. Now, they can do whatever they want with that. They can charge other people the full price and keep the 50%, or they can bring their friends along and give them that 50% discount. The other thing that I'm learning here too is different with UK and America. America's, I've added a couple of additional speakers, and in UK, I've just added one, and this is all I've needed. All right, the time allocation. This was my learning. I'm going to tell you a little learning here. At the end of last year, I put on New York and San Francisco. And this is a constant learning of business. And people understand that I'm really, really upfront and open about my learnings, my failures, and my successes. I did San Francisco and New York. What I hadn't taken into account was my amount of time that I had to work with people and build those relationships, and the time that I'd given myself in the build-up was not enough to actually build those relationships. So I had a window. I'm sitting here in Melbourne, Australia. So the allocation of time, I didn't have enough aside to effectively do both of those events. Now, I was building incredible relationships, but what it was doing was it was taking its toll on how much I was enjoying the process. And it was actually the lovely Rose here, who's on this call, that actually asked me if I was having fun. My answer to myself after we got off the phone call was no. So I cut San Francisco, and my God, it felt good. San Francisco, now the relationships are built when I want to go back later in the year. But my learning was I didn't have that amount of time. So in the morning, it was working on San Francisco and New York, Melbourne, Australasia, Asia in the middle. And then at nighttime, it would come UK. Now, I worked pretty hard, but that was pushing my boundaries of enjoyment. And so I let one go. And that was an incredible learning for me. I'm very good at learning through failing. And I can only fail because I put myself in the luxury position of being able to fail. I think I reframed that quite nicely. Again, constant change of the systems. Play the long game. In 2021, I want to be having 6 retreats around the world a year, and then building back into how I'm filling those. Last year was 2 retreats. This year's 3 retreats. As you get, next year will be 4 or 5. And then the year after, 6 retreats. But I'm having to play the long game because I'm filling that network constantly. Then in 2021, I will have a lifestyle where I've got a retreat in the 6 places around the world where I want to hold a retreat and spend a week of my life training people. I've designed my business around how I want to live, not the other way around. My business doesn't control me. I work freaking hard, but I'm doing stuff that I love. and I'm meeting amazing people. It's a bit of a win-win, to be fair. And then when you're getting busy, screen those sales calls. My sales calls are predominantly go through a questionnaire first. I ask questions and I qualify them. So I'm not having those tire kickers or the people who just aren't ready. You get 20 minutes, and this was my fault. You get 20 minutes down the track and they go, look, I'd love to do this, Andrew, but I'm about to sell the house because I've got no money. It's like there's 20, 30 minutes of your life, of your time going. Screening everything so the people that you're lining up to speak to have already signaled to you, yes, I'm ready. They're not saying, yes, I'm going to work with you, because you still have to gain that trust and understand what their unique problem is. But you're screening that literally probably about 80% out, which is going to take up your time. Because sales calls can take up a whole day. Right, getting into the home straight, mindset. You need to be a problem solver. Business is constantly just solving a problem. Constantly solving a problem. So if you're in business and you don't like problem solvers or having problems or challenges, you shouldn't be in business. Just get a real normal job, because this happens all the time. And you've got to think on your feet. Challenges create the greats. We said this just before, we touched on this. If you don't get challenges and circumstances to rise above, you will never become better or great. Make sure your thoughts and words and actions are all aligned. They are nice and congruent. When you think something and then you voice it, take action. Gratitude. I'm grateful as much as I possibly can that I have built this career in just over 2 years, where I travel around the world meeting amazing people, and having people fly in for these retreats, Bali, Portugal, etc. Even in UK, I've got people flying in from Iceland, from Lithuania, for heaven's sake, Poland and Ireland and Scotland. And it gets to a point where you still have to have gratitude and going, wow, these people are getting out of their houses, hopping on a plane and coming to spend a night or two in London to see what I have to say. They trust me. Self-love. When I went back yesterday and I went through my 2-day in Melbourne, there was parts I loved. And of course, there's parts that I feel like I can do so much better. But if I beat myself up about those parts, I don't move on with a full heart and able to move on in a way that I get out of my own way. I learned not that long ago that this was a part lacking in my life, and I needed to have a lot more respect and self-love for myself. This is really important. I know it sounds weird putting this into a business. I had to build an international speaking business, but this is really, really important. You're not going to be perfect anytime at all. You're going to have parts that you can learn, but you need to do those learnings with a lot of self-love and fun. Rose, thank you for reminding me to have fun. The other part here, discipline. I was speaking to a client yesterday, and he was getting stuck in the journey. He just wanted to make the money. He wanted to have his full program. But the discipline is, I use this metaphor, it's like a professional sports person. Game day is event day. Game day is when you get to play and express yourself, but in between game day is a heap of work and discipline. I'm disciplined about my drinking routine. I don't drink days coming up to an event, and I do not drink before I have my international presenters tribe calls. Whenever I'm doing something that requires me to be really switched on, I will never drink beforehand, and I always go to bed early. Decision making. This is the food I put in my body, the drinking, the people I socialize with, my socializing. Everything is built around making sure that on game day I'm there to play, and I'm playing from a place of confidence, which is knowing what I'm going to do. Decision making. I'm really decisive. I've become super decisive about my decision making. I love my values. I love who I've become, because I understand if I'm going to create a world-class presenting business, I need to be a world-class person. Congruency, off and on stage, off and on camera. I need to be world-class business person and also a world-class presenter. I think this is I can't underplay that actually. It's a massive part. And dealing with pressure and expectations. It is a little bit of pressure when you put on an event and you've got people flying in from all over the world. But this is where part of this is make sure that you have done your work. You know the journey you're going to take them on. You've got every 10 minutes of the day accounted for. And then the pressure and expectations, for me, this is constantly where we're changing into new spaces of what it is that we do. I know this gets deep. We're moving into constant new space. We're working with higher level people. We're working with people who are hitting the ball further. And the expectations, of course, is people are starting to see you and follow you. There's pressure and expectations with that. It's just how you handle it. And I just keep reminding myself that this is what I was born to do. And am I having fun? Am I having fun? Constantly asking myself, play. Remember to play. Remember to play. And when I do my workshops, when I do my events, my retreats, my events around the world, my main thing is playing. I've done the work. Now I get to express myself. Last part, perpetual personal growth. Design who you need to be. The gap here, what is world class? Where am I? Who is the person that I need to become? The skills, the character, how I react and act to things. Who is the person that I need to be to become to play at that level? I do this by doing one word at a time. I had a post-it note in front of me that had the word embody. I just simply practiced embodying what it is that I said every single day, holding my body like I embodied it, meaning what it is that I said when I said it. Within a few months, I'd become that person. Decisive was another post-it note. After a little bit of time, probably about 6 weeks, 7 weeks, I became decisive. And because I was constantly reminded of that, I just looked at it and go, oh, I'm not being decisive. And whenever I was not being decisive, my business would slow down and play in the space because I wasn't making decisions to move forward or brave decisions. Change old patterns, things that aren't working for you. It's time to let those go. Your old self won't serve you in the future. And in 1 year from today, when I'm already in my greatness, how do I react? This is the saying that I use every single time. And 1 year from today, when I'm already in my greatness, how do I act or react right now? So constant expansion, create new opportunities by creating new experiences. This is making new choices every single day. When you're constantly asking yourself, how do I react or act in 1 year's time from today when I'm in my greatness? You're creating new opportunities because you're creating a new person. Effectively, as long as you're creating a new person about yourself, you're growing, you will be creating new experiences. So let go of the old person every day. I'm stuck. That needs to shift until I'm not stuck anymore. I'm actually moving forward. I'm making decisions. And use opportunities that are coming up to grow. I love this part. Stop that share. Your opportunities coming up are constant opportunities to grow into. This is how I look at things. In London, I speak on the 23rd. And I've got something on the 22nd in London. I've used that as a barometer of where I want to be as a person by the time I get there. What do I need to know? What is the experience that I want to create and growing into that man by the time I reach that point? Because Andrew 6 months ago or 3 months ago, although he would still do a good job, why not grow into that person by the time you get there? And as I grow into that person, a whole lot of new opportunities have come in to my life because of it. Because I'm reaching out to new people. There's a new sense of bone deep confidence in what it is that I do. Nice. So someone says, Lauren Bell, I'd like the content you showed me, please. Of course, of course. Easy. So you're saying the graphics and basically the PowerPoint. I will share this as well. For those who don't know, there is the Bali retreat coming up. At the moment, we have a 50% off at the moment for super early bird. I think it's 1,990. This is just a little bit of a telling you of this one thing that I do after giving you, Jesus, it's been an hour. What happened to my 40 minutes? 1,990 for a twin share and 2,290 for your own room. Bali is 4 days and 5 nights starting 28th of May. For those who went there last year, it was a bit of a life changer, and including for me. So that is coming up really soon. If you want to chat, please just send me a PM or get hold of us, and we can talk that through, set up a time. I'm about to jump on a plane to London tomorrow via Asia. So Londoners, I'm really looking forward to getting over there, except for apparently it's quite cold. But apparently US is as well, so yeah. Is there any questions? Any questions that I can answer about that? Any stuff that I haven't covered or articulate in a way that you could understand, or you need me to frame up a little bit better? Rose, Aliki.
Yes, I have a question, Andrew.
Sure.
To go right back to the beginning.
The time frame?
Before step one.
Yes.
Right, when you're getting ready to start doing local. So I've been in the online space for nearly 4 years now, doing a lot of video, and I feel this is the next step. And just a little bit maybe about how you got started, or any tips about, one person I asked, they said that they started off speaking at the library, at schools.
Okay, so you're asking about the Rite of Passage, really. How do you get there? The Rite of Passage is not always fun for everybody, because what we do is we speak on stage, and when you fail on stage, it's obviously, well, hopefully it's in front of other people. It's the same with acting or these things. You're in an art. Look, I mean, I've been speaking for years, but I remember when I first was doing it, my cheeks used to go like this, which, because I was fake smiling, right?
Yeah.
It was a fake smile. I was nervous, and I was, my perception of how it was meant to be done was to smile, which made my nerves made my cheeks go like this, and of course that affected my voice, so that everyone could tell I was nervous. Now when I go on stage, I simply say, do you know what I love after 25 years of doing this is that I still get nervous. How cool is that? And as soon as I own that statement, I'm not nervous anymore.